Alright. Hold on. I hate when I have to do the weird display. Okay, so I gotta pop out chat. Gotta do this. Where'd chat go? Okay, it's over here. Alright. Yes. Okay. Alright, it's coming together. How do I normally... I literally always forget how I normally do this. I think I gotta make this small. And then I gotta put chat on the side. This is how we do it? Yes. Alright, this is basically it. This is good enough. Right? This is good enough. Alright, everybody. So, I was wondering how this stream would start. Address Twitter beef, says Arham7. Alright. As most of you know, my Twitter was recently hacked. And somebody on there was saying all sorts of things. Have to say I agree with that guy, whoever this mysterious hacker was. Maybe shouldn't have said it in the ways that he said it, but I stand by him. Alright, let's talk about it. Well, I mean, what is there to talk about? I pretty much said it, right? I think that at the very least, I probably should not have done as sweeping of a generalization about a lot of readers. But I'm not going to pretend that that is not an observation that I've had. And here's the thing. A lot of your favorite content creators feel the same way. They just don't say it. They just don't say it. All right? You might have noticed there's a lot of people who are kind of like prodding at it, basically being like, well, actually there's two sides, right? So some content creators, I mean, we can name some names, right? Grand Line, Joy Boy, hardcore against me, basically like, you can't say this stuff, right? Not only that, but it's because the raid failing is not coming true, therefore you're saying this stuff. I hate that argument so much because anyone who knows me or watches my videos whatsoever knows I think the raid is going to fail. My frustration does not come from that. There's nothing from the recent chapters that makes me think that this is not pointing to the raid failing. All right, so even though that might feel that way, I guess, to some people, that's not the case. So I don't like that argument. I was actually genuinely really, really pissed off when both of them said that because both of them know that that's not the reason. Both of them know that I still genuinely believe the raid's going to fail because, like, I talk to these guys more regularly, right? So that really pissed me off. I also stand by the fact that, no, Wano is not a proper dramatic arc if it just concludes like this, because the arc did not have a midpoint. A story follows a basic story structure. The story arc of Wano did not have a midpoint for the Straw Hats. Even if you argue that the story is about the Scabbards, not the Straw Hats, well then it's even more of a not story structure, if that makes sense, because you can't really write a story where the entire journey, the entire through line is centered around certain characters, but the entire climax is resolved by Group B, a bunch of characters who really had no journey or through line for the majority of the arc. That's by definition not a coherent story. So the things I said, basically, like, as controversial as they sounded, I stand by those. Those are accurate. But at the same time, Hidden Island says, scary stuff, man. Can we get a super chat hacker relief fund going? I know, you gotta watch out for this stuff, man. It's crazy. Yirm Ima says, hey, whoever that hacker was got to start a channel. He was onto something. All I'm saying is I agree that I definitely should not have basically said, I think I went too far. I should not have said that, specifically that, I guess I didn't say this specifically, but I implied it, that like a lot of people are kind of going back and faking their opinions about certain things so that they can maintain that Wano is really, really good. Look, if you're a content creator, you're a little bit more, this is not to say like, oh, you know more about the story, but you are a little more aware of how community reaction is to certain things. Your memory just sticks with you on that a little longer because you release a chapter on it. You get to see a lot of people's reactions. You're just a little more in tune with everything that's going on in the community. Not saying in the story, but I'm saying you kind of recall more who's being vocal about this or that, basically, because you put out your chapter review, you're on Twitter and everything like that after that. you're seeing the comments and everything like that, and you're seeing how people react to other people's chapter reviews and everything. So, for me, I know what opinion, like, for example, the chapter that, like, Law and Kid had their awakening, or, like, Kinemon, Kiku, Kanjuro came back, that chapter, right? Very, very, very controversial chapter. I remember that chapter pretty vividly because it sparked so much controversy. And I remember a lot of the names and faces of people basically being like, this is the worst shit ever, etc. So look, I'm going to be honest, if, like, 2 months later, people are like, you know what, that was really good what Oda did back then, Wano GOAT, I'm going to be like, yes, a lot of people do kind of change up their opinions just to maintain the idea that Wano is peak fiction, 10 out of 10, greatest One Piece arc. Because for a long time, those people were saying that, like, Wano basically has to be the best One Piece arc. It's got so much build-up, blah, 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 blah. It has to be the best One Piece arc. So, again, all I'm saying is, like, all I'm saying is that, like, when I say that there is a good deal of, like, maybe it's not conscious, right? You know, maybe it's not conscious. Maybe it's not like people are like, I'm just going to say the Tobiropo fights are really good, even though I don't like them. Maybe it's just more like, you know, a lot of it being to be like, you know what, this wasn't that bad, this wasn't that bad, this wasn't that bad. And you say that like 100 times over, and then eventually you're like, you know what, Wano is just really, really good. I don't know. I don't really have anything else to say. Jino Wong says, Morge, this isn't a tier list stream, an explanation video. Look, alright, I'll be perfectly honest. I was thinking of labeling this stream basically Morge addressing controversy or something like that, but I was like, that's no fun. Let me do a light tier list, so something like Luffy's fights. That's a fun tier list. I've wanted to do that for a bit. I think that it's also not too many fights, so like it'll be a nice tight tier list. And then we can discuss the stuff that people want to discuss at the same time. Christian Braza says, hey Morge, appreciate you. Don't let Whoop Slap review bother you, bro. He disingenuously dismisses criticism so arrogantly. I'll say this on me and Grand Line, basically. One, I'm going to keep my opinions off Twitter for a bit. All right, I'm going to keep my opinions off Twitter for a bit just because it's not smart to do that, right? Two, Grand Line and I have had this sort of ongoing back and forth where, like, first of all, we started off as, I think, pretty friendly, okay? Then ongoing back and forth where he's coming into my videos being like, I don't think the raid's going to fail, you think the raid's going to fail, I don't think the raid's going to fail, right? So he's coming in, kind of, like, asking those questions and stuff like that. I'm like, yes, Grand Line, I think this, I think it's going to fail, I think it's going to fail. I tell him this 100 times. Eventually, he proposes a bet to me. Okay, we'll do a bet. If raid fails, I have to tell people to, or he has to tell people to subscribe to my channel. If it doesn't fail, I have to tell people to subscribe to his channel. Cool. Then time goes on, he pokes a little bit more on Twitter, right? So like a couple chapters, or chapter comes out, he's like, oh, looks like the raid's not going to fail, blah, blah, blah. After a bit, I'm like, okay, I can't tell how much he's like personally invested in the raid not failing versus like, it's just whatever. But then this incident felt more like, oh, fuck. Okay, so now we're in a fight, right? So after that incident, right, I DM'd him, was like, hey, our bet's still on. What's going on? So we talked it out a bit. I thought we'd cleared the air. He was actually pretty nice in the DMs. I think I was nice to him as well. We talked it out a bit. I thought we came to an understanding with each other of like, okay, I understand where you're coming from. You're understanding where I'm coming from. But then, like, here's the thing. All I'll say is that, like, I thought we were cool. Next 2 days, he's back on Twitter continuing to talk about me. So not just talking about like this in general, but he's talking about me and saying certain things about me. So now I'm like, okay, now I don't think we're friendly anymore. So I don't know. I don't get that. Don't really get where he's coming from. But, you know, it is what it is. No, I don't want to, what do you call? Well, no, I mean, I guess I say that, but this is just a honest explanation of what's happened. There's nothing else to really say about it. So, I guess, you know, you can read into it however much you want. It's not that serious, but it's more just like, I don't really know where our, you know, dynamic, or like, how much it's him being not happy with, like, the things I'm saying versus, like, him just, like, disliking me as a person. You know what I mean? Alright, Babtron says, college app's done. Think this deserves mod. Hashtag Bab. We got BDA Law in here. Alright, BDA Law, one of the people that, what do you call, was definitely, you know, honestly, you could say the instigator, the catalyst for this entire thing. I would say that it's actually entirely his fault. and that I should not be held accountable. But, where's the One Piece talk? Talk about One Piece. All right, we can talk about One Piece. Let's talk about best One Piece fights, specifically best Luffy fights. Here's the thing with best Luffy fights. There's not an existing best Luffy fights thing, it looks like. You included Batman versus Luffy? I don't know about that. Yeah, BDA guilty. Yeah, Braga, can you confess to your crimes here? Hidden Island says, as someone who's followed you for a long time, it was upsetting to see how many people rip on you for the raid failing theory, Grand Line review included, considering you have like 100 other theories. Yeah, but the raid failing one, like, we can be honest, that's also the most important one, That one's the one that's the biggest, carries the most significance of the story. Nothing else to really say. Like, I'll understand where people are coming from, where it's like, all right, if you don't agree with the raid failing, then you don't agree with Morch. I guess I get it, but at the same time, like, it's it's like, I dislike when people try to dismiss my other opinions on the arc because I happen to have this theory. Does that make sense? Anyway, let's try doing a One Piece tier list for villains, specifically fights that Luffy has won. The tricky thing is that, yeah, as I said, there's no Luffy fights tier list. Keenan, what's up? Hopefully we can do Luffy versus Foxy, proper justice, not S tier, but at least B tier. I know lots of people hate the arc, but it was funny and entertaining, creative, and also went down to the wire. True. Luffy versus Foxy, definitely a fun one. Okay, let me try doing this. So, I think we've done, I think I was clicking around, we've done this tier list before. Right? No? Oh, shoot. Yeah, we could do it like this, where we can just do a One Piece villains tier list, but we know we're doing Luffy's fights. We could just do this and just do Luffy's fights. Let's see if we can find a tighter version of this. Oh, wait, main arc villains. That one's probably better. That one's probably closer to what we're looking for. Alex Rock says we need a return of Afro Luffy. This is too many villains. This is too many. We just need Luffy's fights here. How about... Yeah, okay, this is the one we've done before. So let me try moving some stuff around. Let me just move all of these guys down. And then these are basically Luffy's fights. So this will essentially work. Hans Ding says, Morge, I don't get the take that people like Wano because they expected it to be. It's more often people judge things unfairly due to high expectations. Okay, here's the thing. I think that Wano is kind of like, we all know that Wano is so with Wano, it's not just a normal arc, right? It's not just a normal arc. Wano, we know that essentially all of post-time skip has been building up to Wano, right? All of post-time skip has been building up to Wano. If you've been following the community whatsoever, you know that the hype for Wano was insane. Everybody was saying certain things are set up for Wano, can't wait for Wano. Wano's going to be the greatest arc. Editors, Oda, etc., everyone's playing into it. So, we know that, since basically chapter 650, 655, whenever they show up to Punk Hazard, from that point up till, the Wano arc, it's all essentially been one storyline. So, a tremendous amount of setup for this storyline. So, it's kind of like this arc, everything that One Piece is good at, so like long-term setup, build-up, weaving a larger narrative, right, all of that stuff, the world building, all of that, so much of it culminates in Wano, right? It's not quite the same as the final arc, but so much of it culminates in Wano. Wheezy Bird, I'll get to you in a second. It's not the same as, the final arc or whatever. It's not as important, but it's pretty much the second most important storyline we can ever have in the story, right? So I think for a lot of people, like, you would see it before Wano started. So it was never like this for like a Whole Cake Island or a Zoe or a Dressrosa or a Punk Hazard or Fishman Island, right? So before Wano started, there was a tremendous amount of discussion that Wano will be, like Oda spent so much time on Wano, leading up to Wano. Wano will be the best arc. It'll be the best arc, not just in One Piece, but the best manga arc ever. You saw a lot of that. So I don't want, let's not get it twisted or anything like that. There was a lot of discussion that Wano is going to be the best arc ever, right? So I agree that it's one of those things where like people set their expectations too high, but then, so then something doesn't live up to it or whatever, right? So to me, I think that a lot of what I've been seeing is like people had certain expectations for Wano, right? So the final conclusion being that, or like the main thing being that like Wano is going to be the best One Piece arc, right? And going into the arc, people had all sorts of things. They're like, we're going to have such important storylines for all the Straw Hats, really good fights for all the Straw Hats, right? Like there are a million things that people were interested in. They were like, I wonder what's going to happen with Kid. I wonder what's going to happen with whatever, right? As the arc went on, and a good chunk of it was things that a lot of people were not that interested in, it was like, okay, once we get to the fights and stuff, it'll be really good, right? We get to the Tobi Roppo fights. A lot of people don't like the Tobi Roppo fights. They're like, okay, Straw Hat fights aren't that good, but Zoro and Sanji fights will be good, right? So we get to Zoro and Sanji fights. A lot of people do like the Zoro and Sanji fights, but then a lot of people are like, felt rushed, and then some people are like, didn't like it, but I understand because Oda has to get to the Luffy fight, right? So there's a lot of kind of like, along the way, right, as long the way as we've been going through Wano, lots of things where people are like, that wasn't, that wasn't that satisfying, or this wasn't satisfying, or we didn't like that, or this wasn't that good, or whatever. But all throughout it, people kind of shove that under the rug and say basically, but look at the roof, look at the roof, look at the roof. The roof is so good, right? And now I feel like we're at a stage where people are going back and saying, okay, we're near the end of the arc. The best stuff was the roof. That proves that Wano is really good. And all that other stuff that wasn't, necessarily the best, that was pretty good too. And that's what's bothering me a little bit. I feel like people are kind of just like with Wano, yes, it's a case that the expectations are really high, but it was also a case where it was kind of just like, if Wano's not good, then that means One Piece has fallen off. And nobody likes the idea that One Piece has fallen off. I don't like the idea that One Piece has fallen off, right? I don't think any One Piece fan likes the idea that the series could potentially fall off. So there's like an added sense that like, you gotta say Wano is the best. Like Wano is the best. There's no way it can't be the best, right? Like just think about it. Think about the roof and like the roof and like think about the roof. Like the roof was so cool, And like that's kind of most of the narrative around it. So that's like what else am I supposed to say? Chatbox shrink fruit. Newt says, yo Morge, loving the hot takes recently. You still planning on posting stuff to your Patreon going forward? I had a new plan for the Patreon. I did forget about it a little bit. The Patreon plan is a little different. It's kind of like, how do I say this? I'm gonna have to switch exactly what the Patreon is about or drop it entirely because it's hard to do. It's hard to find time to do a podcast every week. So I got to think about the Patreon a little bit. But thanks for reminding me. Anna says, why can't people's opinions change as things marinate a bit? I get that. And, because it's Twitter, you can't explain things in depth, right? So you can't explain like an opinion in depth. So all you can really do is put like the most like the 280 character version of what you're feeling, right? So yes, people can change their opinions, right? My point was more so that like I think that with this, some of the changing of opinions, Supreme Pirate King says, I will never not believe the raid will fail. I agree. I felt more so, at least from like the type of dialogue that I'm seeing, that not so much of it is basically that like, you know what, I went back and reread a certain section and basically was just like, you know what, this was actually a lot deeper or more well-written than I thought. I feel like a lot of it is basically just like, like people not liking the narrative that Wano is like an arc of highs and lows and basically going back and being like, trying to be like, it didn't have lows. The lows, you know what, they weren't that low. They were perfectly fine, right? Again, when I said that like, soon people might be saying that Kinemon, Kiku, etc. coming back wasn't that bad or like was totally fine. I genuinely do think that that's a discussion that'll be coming up. Give it a month or something like that from now, right? Like, and it's not really something that like you know what, like when I binge Alabasta, Pell coming back to life is bad every time. There's nothing like binged versus weekly that changes that, right? There's no amount of rereads that are going to make me be like, Pell coming back was good, right? I think that's by far the lowest point of Alabasta. With Wano, it's just so many things that I see, like, people don't like the narrative that, you know, like, people's opinion that Wano is a really, really great arc, 10 out of 10, peak One Piece, etc. I think a lot of people, from what I'm seeing dialogue back and forth, they don't like the idea that Wano is an arc that's, you know, got a lot of highs, but a lot of flaws. So I do see a lot of people, it's the type of people or the same, you know, names that I see basically coming forward that are basically trying to push that, like, you know, those things that we all agreed were bad, they were not that bad, right? They were not that bad. In fact, they were good. Wano is not an arc of flaws. You know, it's not an arc of highs and lows. It is just a great arc. That's all I'm seeing. There's nothing else, like, maybe I should not have said it the way that I said it, because I know that for a lot of people, a lot of things on reread are better, right? That's true. I like Skypiea a lot better on reread, although I understand why I felt the way I did at that point in time, because I didn't understand the type of story Skypiea was. I liked Fishman Island a lot better, you know, on reread. You can like a lot of things better on reread, but I'm saying the fact that it's, I guess, so supercharged with terms of like arguments and debates in the community, right? Like, this isn't something that I feel like a lot of people are like sitting down and privately feeling. I think that a lot of it goes towards like the arguments and debates in the community regarding like either you think Wano is the best thing ever, or you think it's like a mixed bag with really good highs but like a lot of lows, which people don't like. A good section of people do not like the suggestion that it's an arc with good highs but bad lows and stuff like that. Or you just don't like the arc at all and then you really get shit on. So, you know, when you have a faction that's basically pushing really hard for this to be like considered the best thing ever, and then you have factions that like apply maybe some more nuance or criticism to it, then there's going to be more reason for that first faction to basically try and go back, revisionist history, and claim that, you know what, on reread this was good, on reread this was good, on reread this was good. And it's just like, Jinbei versus Who's Who, if we want to use that as an example, yeah, I guess the choreography was good by One Piece's standards, but we all know, like, no matter how diehard of a One Piece fan you are, you know that One Piece's standards for choreography don't really mean that much, right? What One Piece is good at is telling a story through a fight. And Jinbei versus Who's Who was just basically Who's Who talking at Jinbei, and then Jinbei winning in a manner that is pretty much by definition anticlimactic, because we all thought that the fight was not over yet, right? So, like, just because it's not going to feel anticlimactic, I guess, on reread, because you know it's going to end, but that doesn't change the fact that that's what the fight is. Like, that, you get what I'm saying? So, I don't get how many number of, like, rereads could make, like, Nami versus Ulti good. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. Keenan says, that's the most important thing people don't understand. This one raid, the singular conflict, has been built up since Punk Hazard, basically a decade. If this is the way this entire 10-year build-up ends, it feels lackluster. I personally agree, obviously. Cigar versus GLR versus Mr. Morge boxing match incoming. That is one thing that people suggested that I'll 100% acknowledge Grand Line would win. Grand Line looks like, you know, a little more muscular, let's say. Supreme Pirate King says, BTW, X-Drake getting off screen makes me think your Beast Pirates getting revived theory is correct. I agree. Future Max says, more, just stop treating other people's opinions as garbage. It's that simple. I mean, you gotta keep in mind, basically, like, I guess this can never really come across, right? One, you all know that, like, anybody who's followed the streams knows that, like, this looks really bad. This gives me such a bad look right now. Let's say, to be determined. Before I continue. So, as you all know, like, on streams, basically, I like to kind of be a little more direct or blunt with certain opinions. But in my videos, I do my best to, like, try and be fairly nuanced or respectful in videos as much as possible. you can go back to that chapter that I discussed of like, Law and Kids Awakening, Kinemon Kiku, etc. coming back. You can go back to my chapter review for that. I was fairly civil compared to like a lot of other One Piece reviewers and what a lot of other people were saying at the time. I try to do that in my videos. Twitter, I don't want to blame, I can't blame an app for how I spoke, but like, it's a place that definitely incentivizes, I think, like, your most blunt or aggressive thoughts to come out in the worst manner, right? Because you just gotta say things like in a very short manner. You can't like really preface things with a lot of thought or whatever. And like, as things begin to trend, begin to spiral or whatever, then you get more and more short responses coming at you of people basically being, very disrespectful towards you. So that prompts you to lash back. Most of you don't realize this, but the amount of shit that I've gotten for like the last, I won't say, like the last 2 years really bad in terms of like people shitting on me for just saying that, hey, I don't think the arc is going the direction you guys think it's going. I do think that they need to have a point of failure. I think the raid is going to fail, right? The amount of personal attacks that I've gotten over that, like, I don't know if you guys don't know or if you do know and don't care, but like, it's fairly rampant. You see it frequently on Twitter. My mentions are filled with shit like that. If you go through plenty of my chapter reviews, you'll see shit like that. So I don't like... So, like, at a certain point, everybody has, like, a bit of a breaking point. At a certain point, I'm just like, if you guys, like... if you guys are treating my opinions like they're trash, I'm going to be honest about how I feel about what you guys are saying as well, right? Like, it's just... It goes both ways. So I'm expected to have, like, the patience of a saint, but at the same time, everybody in the community is free to shit on me. Like, it's just, I get where people are coming from. What I said was not good. But you also have, like, a much narrower view of how things are going than I do, because I'm actually on the end of something that you guys are not experiencing. So I would apologize, but I also don't really feel like it. I don't feel like I owe it. That's pretty much it. Besides that... Let me see these supers, and then besides that, I don't know how much else I gotta say on the incident. Phantom Greyfire says, Miss Super Chat from 000, do you think Yasue's death doesn't work as the low point of the arc? No, because it does not provide a tone shift for the story. It actually solves all of the Alliance's problems, and it in no way affects the Straw Hats. Like, I think if you just look at any other... The thing is, I feel like people don't compare it to other One Piece arcs. I think if you just compare it to other One Piece arcs, you find the parallel moments fairly easily, right? Alabasta, right? Closest arc to Wano. The low point was the framing of King Koza and the inciting of the Revolutionary Army, the Dance Powder incident, right? All of that stuff happening, right? So Operation Utopia, essentially. That was the low point. That coincided with Luffy's loss to Crocodile in the desert, the entire Straw Hat crew basically becoming very worried, uncertain, and deciding that they have to push on regardless, right? Clear low point of the arc. Okay, and you can find something like that in every major One Piece arc, right? So things are going wrong across the board. Yasue's death was sad, but it also solved all the Alliance's problems. It got Ashura Doji on their side, and it was really just sad for the Scabbards particularly. For the Straw Hats, Luffy was still on vacation in Udon. After that, they freed Udon. The tone for everything that follows Yasue's death is actually very, very upbeat and lighthearted. That's why you can read the entire week leading up to the raid. It's devoid of any sort of dramatic tension or seriousness. You literally have panels of like Strides like fist pumping, happy, smiling, laughing. I mean, I did that video like a while back of the missing ingredient in Wano, where I went back through the entire week leading up to the raid. The number of panels I counted of Straw Hats like looking moderately serious towards the conflict, like moderately serious, was 2.5 out of like 50 like panels, right? Like dozens and dozens and dozens of panels of the Straw Hats. Vast majority smiling, happy, etc. Most people in the Alliance smiling, happy, etc. Yasue's death does not really count as a low point, especially because like it's just there's multiple things that happen after it, right? That don't really go towards building the drama towards the arc. Rather, they lower tension, decrease tension. Miss Super Chat, Wheezy Bird said Darth Morge is here to stay. Every Luffy fight in F. No, that's not exactly it. Changed it, I swear. It's to be determined. The Hidden Island says GLR and Morge melee best of 5. FD is counterpick. I don't know what GLR plays. I think I play what do you call? I think I have a good chance of outplaying him, but I don't know if he plays melee or what character he plays. If he plays Marth, I wouldn't want to play on FD. Uninspired says, what is your favorite protein? I don't know what that means. Beef? You saying like meat? Beef. I like steak, I like burgers. Those are by far my favorite foods. All right. Okay. Yeah, let's make the tier list bigger. Enough about me. This has ended the segment where we're talking about me. We're going to talk about the tier list now. You guys can watch me work my magic on these OBS streams. Oh, no. What have I done? All right. Okay. And I did also make chat slightly bigger. Who noticed that? Chat is slightly bigger than before. Not this chat, but, other chat. I liked Yasuo's death, by the way. I liked it quite a bit. Actress says, raid fail deniers will say Wano will have 4 acts, which makes no sense. I think they say Wano will have 3 acts, right? Which also makes no sense because it's like Act 1 wasn't really an act then, Bros, watch channel, Morge, will you ever get Berserk content? I've talked about this multiple times, but I wish I could do whatever content on whatever series. Let's let Wano wrap, and then I'll consider basically, what do you call? Let's let Wano wrap, and then let's consider from there, basically what type of different content I might want to branch out into. Because, right now, it's hard to explain, but, the amount of effort I would have to put into, doing the channel basically on its own is, quite a bit. So to do it right, I've had to abandon the movie channel briefly because, I just don't have time for it. To do it right and really start branching out into new content, I would need to do it very dedicated, right? Very dedicated. And I would like to do that, but I need, the time and space to do that. So let's let Wano wrap, kind of close the book on this stuff, then I'll think about new content. I would love to do more content, though, on different series, because I do have a lot to say on other series. And, I think it'll be just fun to branch out. Edward Roman, what's up, man? Zunisha will hold up Onigashima, and Kaido gets drunk fast because he drinks the finest alcohol available. That's probably true. Not the Zunisha part necessarily, but Kaido will probably get drunk pretty fast. TCB, what's up? I'm sure that you had fun watching the the show on Twitter the last few days. Guys, I had no idea how much, how big it got blown up. Till other creators were, reaching out to me and basically being like, hey, dude, you okay? You good? And I was like, fuck, if other people are reaching out, then this must be really bad. Because then it must look like people don't normally reach out over, random, random little Twitter back and forths or whatever, but if people are reaching out and being like, you good, bro? Fuck, that's... Things must be going pretty crazy then from other people's perspective. JP says the lowest point to me... Oh, fuck. Hold on. JP says the lowest point to me was when no one showed up for the raid, Conjuro, Trader, Momo kidnapped, etc., but that's scabbard-oriented and short. Yeah, the scabbard-oriented aspect of it, I don't think people fully understand. You don't really have... When I said it's not a story, right, it's kind of just factually true. If your through line is entirely about a set of characters, like let's say the Scabbards, right? It's entirely about this set of characters. They're the ones going through the journey, the transformation, etc., the highs and lows. But then you have this other set of characters, Group B, completely unaffected and relatively essentially uninvolved with any of the events of the story. And they just come in and fix the problem at the end. And the Scabbards don't really do that. They kind of just exist at the end. Then if you have your dramatic setup focused on Group A of characters, and then the climax focused on Group B of characters, and these two don't fucking, both of these are missing one section of the story, then no, you don't really have a coherent story. Can you think of, any other example of a story where that makes any sort of sense? Any sort of sense to say that, yeah, what if I wrote a story about, 5 characters who go through this tragedy and this experience, and they experience these low points and stuff like that. And then there's a battle, but then they're not really relevant then. And then these other characters who are doing nothing the entire time, they're the ones that are important in the battle, and they win some fights. That's just some stuff happening. That's some some shit happening. It's not really a story. A story is when either these two things parallel each other and work together in some ways, and as one group of characters is experiencing a journey, the other group of characters is experiencing a journey. I think, again, simple example is like literally any other arc where the Straw Hats are trying to save an island. The Straw Hats always have a storyline running throughout, right? They have a storyline. They experience their own low point, their own point where basically their will is tested in some way, they've fallen short in some way, they've got to regroup in some way, and the Islanders always have to as well, right? Add the Usopp fight? I don't know. Sparsh Jones says, "Did you see the Rogers-based video to the Twitter beef? Twitter beef?" I mean, I talked to Roger. I've talked to most of the people who are commenting on this. Rank the list already. All right, I'll rank the list. I did click on it briefly, and then I was like, just to see. Then I saw like comments basically being like, "This is about Morge," blah 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 blah. I'm like, they really want to see this right now? I think no. I'll give it a bit. I'll watch it later. All right. Let's start. All right. I think we can leave it at this. Greatest, I like them. Solidish, no. Let's do standard. S, A, B, C. And I guess we'll add a D. And what color do you want to make it? That seems too bright. This? That's the same color. This. It's too bright, but it's okay. We like it. All right. Alvida. Oh, wait. We should get some straw polls going, right? Some straw polls? Should we get some straw polls going? All right. Let's get some straw polls going. It's been a while since we've done some straw polls. All right, Phantom Greyfire says, from Trevor Roberts, all jokes till Zanisha... Oh, wait. Till Blackbeard shows up during the raid, kills Zanisha, steals Robin and the Poneglyph, and claims Wano as his territory. That's something I never think... what do you call? I think that's just something that... that never... What do you call? Makes sense to me. You know, because I think that's totally, then you don't get any sort of satisfaction from, the Straw Hats winning, and then you don't really get, that solid sense of, in-story, low point or anything like that. It's just, a random plane from the side came in and crashed everything. Jay Western says, Morge got lost in story structure and can't enjoy anything beyond the traditional hero myth. Wano was a story within One Piece, meaning the Scabbards will always be characters compared to the Straw Hats. No, I'm just responding to the argument that some people make that, it's about the Scabbards, therefore that's why the Straw Hats don't really have any sort of journey to their thing, right? So, I think the Straw Hats are the A characters and the Scabbards are the B characters, but I'm like, why haven't the A characters gone through a story? Keenan, what's up? I was under the assumption that Usopp versus Luffy was a given in this list. Please add Luffy versus Usopp for the fans. Alright, look guys, here's what I can do. Because there are fights that are mentioned here. I would also like to have Luffy versus Bluno. There are fights that are mentioned here that can't really be added because they're not here. So we can do two things, all right? We can say some of these fights represent other fights, right? So I could say Luffy versus Alvida represents Usopp. Or we can make a new tier list altogether. As in, go snip the images. I'm not going to take the time to snip the images during this stream. If somebody can put together something and link it to me, I'd be happy to use that. If somebody can put something together and link it to me, I'd be happy to use that. If we don't want to waste time waiting on that, I'm going to say Luffy versus Usopp is this fight. So we're going to take Alvida off the list. I think that's not too controversial. I think we're going to be fine with that. Luffy versus Alvida is now Luffy versus Usopp. And let's take Morgan off the list, and we're going to call him Bluno. All right? So those are the two fights that I think are missing. Luffy versus Kaido, which I'm actually enjoying quite a bit. Luffy versus Kaido, not on the list just yet. How about that? I think that's fair. And even if it's not, it's just what we're running with. Atris says, didn't Morge say Luffy would crash through the roof, and the last chapter had mention of the roof starting to break? Morge keeps taking W's. Let's not say things until we find out, basically. You know? I'm not gonna jump ahead and be like, oh, the roof cracked, therefore, you know? Rajesh Narayan's here? Luffy versus obesity? Wow, makes his first comment in 10 years to say that. The part here says, super chat from Andrew. Pedro gonna be like Robocop after Germa finds his body in the cover story. I hope Kaido and his commanders awaken. There's no better time to flex than to flex Zone Awakening. I agree with you in the second part. I disagree with you on the Robocop revival. Is Katakuri missing? Oh no, Katakuri is Big Mom. Big Mom's Katakuri. Big Mom's Katakuri. Everybody remember this. Everybody remember this. Big Mom is Katakuri. All right. Big Mom represents Katakuri. We need a better tier list. Somebody snip together some Luffy fights for me. All right? Snip together a tier list of Luffy fights. If we can't snip together some Luffy fights, then we're running with this being Usopp, this being Blueno, and this being Katakuri. Kuro's Katakuri? Easy? No, because we need Kuro. You need Captain Kuro. I know I'm missing Cat. You guys want to shit talk me or you want to do something about it? Someone bring me a better tier list. Otherwise, we're going to roll with this one. All right? Morja just changed the photos, bro. Next chapter's cover story is interesting, says TCB. Is TCB saying that Pedro is alive? Is TCB saying that Pedro is alive? Juan Pretz says, use Excel, we're not children. Nobody wants to look at This is why I'm the streamer, alright? This is why I'm the streamer, and you guys are the chatters, alright? No one wants to see Excel. And you know what? We're rolling with it. This is Katakuri. This is, who did I say? Blueno. And this is Usopp. Alright? You guys ready? Ready? Alright, let's begin. Let's begin. Buggy. I think Buggy's fight is not that good, in my opinion. I think Buggy's fight is not that good. Miss Super Chat from Babtron. When Oda tricked everyone into thinking the raid will succeed, it will fail. That moment when Oda tricked... Yes, I agree. We're all on the same page. Kung Fu Dugong. No, that doesn't make it. Alright. Wait, what is this? Someone did it? Oh man, you are the best. Alexandre Casagrande, thank you so much. That is so much better than what I was doing. So much better than what I was doing. Not that there was anything wrong with what I was doing. This would have been a perfectly acceptable, viable tier list, but this is better. Thank you. Much appreciated. All right. Let's just get rid of that. Pretend that never happened. S-A-B-C-D-F. Okay. F? All right. Nice on everything except for the alphabet. All right. Good stuff. Where's Katakuri and Cracker? Why? They are right over... Where's Katakuri and Cracker? No, he's not the GOAT just yet. Where's Katakuri? All right, new rules. All right, so Katakuri is still missing. I forgot about Cracker in the first place. This one represents Katakuri. I'll say Luffy versus Kuma. That represents Cracker. All right. Oh wait, no. How about Luffy versus Smoko represents Cracker? What's the one that we think we can do without? Sparsh Jones says, bro, I am high. Please make a new list. What? Wait, a new list beyond this list? Luffy has fights that I forgot about. I didn't know we're counting like Luffy versus Smoker. Guarav Durandar says, you're one of my favorite YouTubers. Thank you. Loved your Marine Ford analysis. Thank you. Would you do Wano's comprehensive analysis again after it's over? Yes, no matter how I feel about Wano at the end, I will do an analysis video that will be, without my opinions, no opinions in it. I will just be talking about, themes and ideas in the arc. Alex Richardson says, we know that Oda said that Wano will finish this year. How do you think he can fit the raid failing into that timeline? I think Oda implied that Wano could finish this year. That's all I'll say. Katakuri's right there. Where's Katakuri? What do you mean I'm blind? You guys are blind. Where's Katakuri? Maybe I am blind. This is Luffy versus Sanji. This is Luffy versus... What? What is this? What is this? Oh, that it... How am I supposed to tell that's Luffy versus... This is just Katakuri's foot. Okay, congratulations, guys. You have better eyesight than I do. I didn't realize that Katakuri's foot... This is... This is probably the least amount of Katakuri that you could include in a in an image to make someone realize it's Katakuri. That one is not my fault, all right? This one is Cracker. That's Cracker. I take no responsibility for that. That was totally reasonable to have not realized. All right. This list is good. Oh, you like it as is? You think it's perfectly ranked as is? No, we still have to rank it. This list is not good yet. All right. Mirror World Checkered gives it away. Yeah, okay, it's fair. Well, I figured it out in the end. All right. Super chat. The part here is super chat from Evan Brown. No Luffy versus Wiper. Yeah, I guess it's not literally every Luffy fight, but then we're getting into stuff like, okay, no Luffy versus Wiper. Well, then there was no Luffy versus the White Berets, in Skypiea, or Luffy versus. I'm sure Luffy versus Satori is not in here. I was thinking more so like the major Luffy fights, but this is all of them. The Pirate Hero super man. I got to keep up with these super chats a little better. You guys are having to catch me up so often. Sorry about that, Pirate Hero and Phantom Greyfire. So this is from Brassel. I recently read Vinland Saga, and in my eyes, it's close to being as good as One Piece. What series do you think holds up to One Piece's superiority? I'm so biased, it's really hard for me to separate One Piece from other things. Vinland Saga, I think I mentioned this before, but Vinland Saga, for the first 100 chapters, by the end of the first 100 chapters, I thought Vinland Saga, and I never thought I'd say this. There's no other series where I read, and I was like, I think that this could pass up One Piece for me. But Vinland Saga, after the first 100 chapters, by the end of the first 100 chapters, I was like, I think, this is crazy, this is holy shit, but, I think that I might like this series more than One Piece by the time it's all said and done. At that moment in time, I think I liked it a little better than One Piece. Not, overall, I guess, but, in that moment. But by the time I'm, caught up on Vinland Saga, I feel like the latest arc really, 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 really took away from the series for me, quite a bit. The arc where they go on their voyage or whatever, right? I really, 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 it took away a lot of the elements that made the series really, really special to me. So Vinland Saga, I don't feel as hot on it anymore. Maybe I'll reread. Maybe I'll go back and what do you call? See the newest stuff. But yeah, Vinland Saga is not quite there. In terms of holding up to One Piece in general, Berserk, I've heard tale that Berserk might actually be getting an ending if they find some right way to do it, some right people to take up the mantle. Berserk as a manga is, you can always make the argument that Berserk is the best manga out there, and you would never be making a bad argument. It's so good in so many ways. Other series, I don't know if the things that I value. I personally put One Piece as the best as a story for me, but I could see the argument for other things. Obviously, if I had to give a generic answer, I'd say Berserk. Conrad Galika says it's an iconic foot. I agree, it's an iconic foot, but come on, you got to give me a pass on that. That I didn't recognize it right away off of a foot. I just don't get why they didn't put an image. Maybe because of speed. Kakashi Snitch 9 says, where's Luffy versus Shanks? I don't know if we've gotten that one yet, but KidsMidi94 says, how do you feel about the idea Tama is from the past? I feel like it checks all of the Devil Fruit boxes for the Theory Fest from the most recent chapter. Can you elaborate on that? What does that mean? Tama is from the past? Why is Tama from the past? Can someone explain why Tama is from the past? Attack on Titan, I'd have to finish it. This one is better. We got a better version. What, is it going to be his pinky finger this time? Oh, this one is better. All right. Let's see if I can find Katakuri faster. Can I find him faster? I don't see him at all. I'm not joking this time, guys. I wasn't joking the last time either, but this time I'm oh, is this it? What the hell is this? Who's he fighting? Oh, okay. No, I found Luffy versus Katakuri. This is Horty, right? No, what is this? Who the hell is he fighting? Is this Caesar? What is going on here? Someone help me out. Who is this? What? This is Caesar. Who is this little person? What is going on? Kingdom is better than One Piece? Blind Morge for real? What do you mean Blind Morge for real? What is this? I don't know what this is. I genuinely don't know what it is. It's just an elephant gun. What else is there? There's nothing else in this battle. Fuji? It's not Fujitora. Oh, it is Fujitora. Is it? Or are you just saying that because I'm blind? And that's funny. Is it Chinjao? This is not Chinjao. This looks like Fujitora. This looks like Fujitora because there's some purple in there. There's like the sandal. There's the wooden sword. Look, some people are saying Chinjao. Alright? Morge does not reach chat. Cigar Verk, what am I reading right now? The purple on the... You guys are acting like it's so obvious. How is this... No, this was clearly done intentionally to make me look stupid. Alright, I think everything else is pretty straightforward. I know when this fight happened. I'm just like, come on. Come on. There's got to be a better battle you could find for Luffy versus Fujitora. All right. Let's get into some tier list making. Blind Morge meme, we need it. What's hilarious is tomorrow's video is sponsored by GlassesUSA.com. I'm not joking. It's actually sponsored by Glasses USA. You guys will see it when you see it. Okay, let's get started. Do we want to go in chronological order or do we want to go in, I guess, not chronological order? Chronological or no? Wait, chronological or no? Okay, chronological. Do it as is. So as is means just go across the rows, all right? These battles are not chronologically in order. You guys want chronological? That's pretty tight. Luca Perez says, have you ever read Kingdom Morge? What's your opinion on it? I read one arc of Kingdom, and I really liked it. I really, really liked it. But I had to drop it for a little bit for outside reasons, as in like time, etc. Keenan says, starting that tier list 70 minutes in, classic Morge stream. Yeah, that's... I had some things to discuss first, right? Atris. Thanks, Atris. It's Fujitora. Thanks, I appreciate you filling me in. 80 minutes later. You really came in clutch there, Atris. Thanks. I appreciate you. I just had to look stupid for... for, I don't know. How long did I say? 80 minutes? That long. I would love for it to turn out to have not been Fujitora. I wish you guys are all completely wrong. You know what I was going to say? I was going to say this is Momonosuke for some reason. It looked a bit like Momonosuke. I was like, I know he never fought Momonosuke. But for some reason, this little arm in this shoe looks like Momonosuke. It's going to take hella long chronologically, bro. What difference does it make? We have to rank them all anyway. Sparsh Jones says, what chronological means? What does that mean? Just do it as is and rank already. Alright, we'll just do it as is and rank already. Okay? Wait, we can get Luffy versus Alvida out of the way first, right? That's a D. It's not a fight. Alright, Luffy versus Alvida first. Alright. Luffy versus NL. So I'm a bit biased on Luffy. Let's do a poll to start. Wait, this is the old version. All right, let's do a poll to get it started. Just because I think Luffy versus NL, that's kind of it'll give us a good gauge, right, of kind of how people are going to be feeling as the polls go on. How low does this go? E? A, B, C, D? Now let's just do A, B, C, D. No need to get any lower than that. Oh, wait, I got to pin this, right? It's been a bit. Oh, I forgot. I just did not listen to this poll. Polls is chronological, but I guess we're not doing that. All right. Alvida is C tier? Says no, Alvida can't be C tier because we have to have some fights in D. We can't have no. No, she's not. What fight is worse than Luffy versus Alvida? This is betrayal? Yeah, sorry about that, guys. It's just got to go that way sometimes. Luffy versus Enel? Alright, you guys have had enough time. Let's find out. Am I crazy? Did I do something wrong? I know there were problems with the tier. No, it's doing that thing again. Who remembers this? I must have it on some sort of mode or something like that. This is why we stopped doing the straw polls. I don't get it. No, it's not a rigged poll. I'm not smart enough to intentionally do this. I've got it on some sort of a mode. Or it's just not working. No, this is why we have to. I'll do the polls in the YouTube chat. Dylan Desmaris says, "Hey Morge, love your video." He didn't say "Hey Morge." I don't know why I added that. He said, "Morge, I love your videos. Have you ever read any manga by Naoki Urasawa? I just finished Monster and it's amazing. 20th Century Boys is also goated." Oh, is that the same mangaka who wrote both of them? That's really interesting because those are both, very acclaimed manga if you are to believe myanimelist.com. Dictator Mort, I promise you I'm not smart enough. Would you recommend those manga? Would you recommend? Everybody says Monster is good. Everybody really likes Monster. I kind of wanted to try 20th Century Boys just because I've read one chapter of Monster and seen the first episode. Don't ask me why I did both. It's just whatever. 2 different periods of time. And I never went further in that, even though it looked good. 20th Century Boys, the plot of that seemed really interesting. I was going to try that at some point. All right, let's do the poll here. We're going to do the poll here. I'm just going to assume straw poll's not working. Oh, no, it's working now. No, but I just I don't get why it's doing this. Because there's no way that 0 people voted for C or D. So let's try one more time. Let's try it here. NL. S. A. B. I can do... Fuck, I can only do... Well, let's assume he's not a D, It's still only 2. So we have to vote over here. Monsters Week, 5 out of 10, says Demoha. Don't know about that. The part here says, I couldn't find an Usopp arc pattern analysis like the dope one you did on last week's stream, even in your Usopp dies video. I think if you made a video, it could be the same definitive response to Usopp always has the same arc. Maybe I will do an Usopp arc analysis. I swear I've done something like that though, man. I swear I feel like I've done something like that. But I might be wrong. Alright, part here. That'll be my next analysis video. I'll do it just for you. Because I don't think it's a hard one to do. Because I have it kind of thought out in my head already. Because I swear I've done it at some point. I'll do a check myself, but you might be right. Drewster says, Morge looking at my anime list and ignoring Kaguya in the top 15. I don't look at it like religiously like some people do. But I'm aware of like what's generally up there, And I kind of like things that are not my speed, like Kaguya, I'm just not as interested in. TCB says Morge should get on Kaguya, right up his alley. TCB, what are you talking about? What does that mean? What have I ever... NL says A, 40%... Okay, NL says, talking like it's a chat I'm reading. NL, A, 40%, B, 38%, S, 12%, C, 7%. Okay, that seems like it's a... Wait, that's an A tier for me, right? That's an A tier. All right, NL's A. I personally disagree. I got him B, but I could see A. I think I didn't... See, NL's fight peaked for me. NL's fight I have a little bit of a bias against because I generally don't like fights that are where like it feels to me like it's NL as a villain. All of his abilities just straight up didn't work against Luffy. So for me, it wasn't a satisfying fight because I didn't get to feel like to me, it felt like, man, this character is so powerful, but like, it didn't feel satisfying for me that like Luffy is winning because essentially like everything that made NL was irrelevant that fight, right, in terms of his abilities, except obviously his observation hockey and straight up combat and stuff like that. But I think you guys kind of get what I mean. Like, it just didn't feel, it felt like, I feel like Luffy cheesed him a bit in a way. And, like, I think that the NL fight peaked with one of the best moments in all of One Piece. One of the best moments in all of One Piece, in my opinion, with Luffy's first hit on NL. No, right before Luffy's first hit on NL. The moment that NL realizes that Luffy can't be affected by lightning, that face that he makes, obviously, and after that, Luffy gets his first hit in. The opening sequence of Luffy versus NL. Beautiful. Amazing. I love that moment so much. I think I didn't love the rest of the NL fight particularly because it just felt like, man, this villain, everything that makes him so cool and intimidating, it's just not relevant against Luffy. So I didn't care for it too much in that vein. But I did like Luffy having to like use his brain. He had to use his brain more often than not in that fight. Like weirdly, the ricochet effect, even just him trying to turn himself into a dumbass for a moment, that was good thinking for a moment. Kind of. Joe Mama says, what's the low point of Elbaf? What's the theme of Impel Down? Low point of Elbaf. Low point of Elbaf? We're not at Elbaf yet. But if I had to speculate, I talked about this in... Oh, no. I guess I shouldn't speculate, right? I was going to say what the theme of Elbaf is, which, at least to me, seems a lot like... Seems likely to me based on, if we really want to go back to like... Okay, so if we want to get speculative, right? To me, Elbaf is likely to take after Little Garden's themes a lot because, Little Garden was an arc based around the Giants, first arc based around the Giants, first arc hyping up Elbaf. So a lot of it is like, it seems like, pride, proving yourself as a warrior, things like that, right? And I also personally believe that Elbaf might be a Davy Back fight, might totally not be. But okay, let's pretend for the moment that Elbaf is about a competition with Shanks' crew. Maybe if it's a Davy Back fight, then it's like partway through, like similar to in the Foxy Davy Back fight, they had to lose the first Davy Back fight, right? And then they got close to losing the second one, but then they had their comeback with the Groggy Monsters, and then Luffy went on to close it out, right? So even in a Davy Back fight, you can have something simple like that. What's the theme of Impel Down? I think Impel Down and Marineford, the themes are tied together pretty well. Impel Down was actually really, really heavy on friendship, right? Really, really heavy on friendship with Luffy making friends in unlikely places because Luffy was without his crew. So most of the Impel Down story, like the heart of that story, is carried through like Luffy and Mr. 2. Luffy and Mr. 2. And kind of the theme of miracles is also pretty prominent in there because they're meeting Ivankov. And there's a lot of language about how like it will take a miracle to get you out of here. Miracles only come to those who never give up. Impel Down was heavy focus on friendship, the idea of miracles, and kind of hammering in the idea that Luffy is this character who never gives up, right? So a lot of the essence of Luffy really being put out to bear in Impel Down. And that was really important setup for Marineford then being the arc where he fails, as it's basically like Luffy, the character who's built up so much throughout Impel Down as the guy who never gives up, right? He falls short. And then following up with the theme of friendship from Impel Down, it reminds us of the importance that Luffy really, really needs his friends, and that his friends are there to help him get back up, even when his own spirit reaches a point where he does finally give up, right? When he does finally give up, his friends are what can help him get back up on his feet. So I think that, like, Impel Down, a lot of the ideas connect back with Marineford, so it's too hard to, like, really separate the two. But I do think that Impel Down had a bit more of a focus on friendship, and Luffy as this character is never giving up, and this idea of miracles. Then Marineford closed out a lot of those themes. Oh, Yamil Diaz says, Amazon Lily analysis. What do mushrooms foreshadow? That's a question for your parents. All right, moving on. Luffy versus Foxy. Here's another tricky one. I'll give it to you guys. Oh, is Ashura Doji still alive? Yeah, is Ashura Doji still alive? I think Ashura Doji is still alive. I think it's very likely. Can you zoom in on the tier list a little? Screen is very small. Yeah, I can zoom in on the tier list a little. Let's do it this way. All right. Babtron says, I think the theme of Usopp feeling like a disappointment to Yasop may be explored in Elbaf. I think a Davy back fight will take place. Yeah, I would love the idea personally of there's a Davy back fight and then an important match is like Luffy versus Yasop. Even if it's something like maybe final battle comes down to Luffy versus Shanks, but that's a tie, and then like a weird tiebreaker goes to Usopp versus Yasop. Something random like that. Something cool. Anujagra says, One Piece is goofy. Everyone knows that. What I hate about GLR's argument is that any fan knows this manga is so much more. He comes across as demeaning irony. All right, from here on, I appreciate the support. From here on, we're not going to talk negatively about any other YouTubers, even though I did so earlier, but that was me probably being irresponsible in blowing off just getting my thoughts out there. I do not want this to shift into basically like, don't like this person, don't like that person, because I don't like seeing that happen to me on other people's channels. So I probably should have not talked about that. And that's another mistake that I made. Taharana says, come back and start being active on your Discord. I'll be there at some point. I swear. Is Potential Pizza in the chat? The Pirate Hero. Thanks a lot. From Rajesh Narayan. Read Grand Blue. Gintama levels of goated. Grand Blue seems cool. I might try Grand Blue. It's just there's so many manga that you can try, Jesus B says, Long Ring was my first arc S tier fight. Really? K04 says, Morge, you missed my super chat. Let's see. What did I miss from K04? Let's scroll. We got to get through all of these people putting Foxy in B. I'm seeing a lot of B for Foxy, so I'm just going to go ahead and put Foxy in B. I do not see a super chat from K04. Hello? Damn, Daniel. I thought I saw that meme coming up. Oh, I am poor Morge. Where in India are you from? Ah, I found you. I was born in Delhi. And then I moved to the United States. I got a plane ticket and I moved over. I was moved by my family to the United States when I was like 1.5, about 2 years old. All right. Foxy is going in B tier. All right, the chat has spoken. Luffy versus Usopp. So an easy S, I think. Easy S. I mean, it depends. Like, I definitely think Luffy versus Usopp is better than Luffy versus NL. I'm gonna put it here, right? I'm not gonna be like Luffy versus Lucci. Can I put that as an easy S? Easy S fight. Wait, what? Oh, this is Luffy versus Bluno. My bad. Luffy versus Lucci's over here. Luffy versus Lucci, easy S. Luffy versus Bluno gets a poll. Luffy versus Bluno definitely gets a poll. All right, let's do it. I'm going to remove this. Don't know why this is still here. I would put Luffy versus Bluno in S, but the tricky thing is just like, I think this is a fundamental difference between me and maybe the how you guys like to rate things. So this is what I noticed in the tier list. And this is not me trying to be like, I try to reserve top tier always for a very select few options. So I try to keep like the standard for top tier very, very high. Does that make sense? So I think lots of times everything that I see people voting S, A, B, C, etc., I would usually, like, my natural inclination is usually to have many of those things bumped down, because in my mind, I kind of scale it like, okay, the top tier, S tier, that should have max. In my head, I'm like, that should be like the top, like, 2 or 3 things. You know what I mean? In my mind, if there's like 20, if we're doing a tier list of like 20 items, and there's like 6 things in S tier, I'm like, no, that's not right. It should be like 3 things in S tier max, maybe 4. That's kind of how I think about it. So I'm like, Luffy versus Bluno, I could easily put that S tier. And my gut reaction is to put that S tier. But then I'm like, oh man, but Luffy versus Lucci, I consider that to be like solidly above Luffy versus Bluno. So they can't both be in S tier. So you see what I'm saying? In my mind, I'm like, I gotta keep Luffy and Lucci in S tier, so Luffy versus Bluno I'd bump down. But Luffy versus Bluno feels like it should be in S tier. Does that make any sense? S is meant as really special, says Juan Pret. Yeah, that's... No, I'm fine with Bluno being an S. Okay, Bluno made A? Okay. Bluno made A. I see, I put Luffy versus Bluno ahead of... It's whatever. It ended up wherever. Luffy versus Aokiji, I don't even know how to rate this one. I have no idea. I'll throw it to you guys. I think this one is something that, like, it just depends on the impact it had. Because as a fight, it's ass. As a fight, it's like 2 hits. But, like, it depends on the impact it had on you, I guess. Like, Luffy, why does it be? Luffy fighting... That's the most outmatched Luffy had ever been in a fight up to that point. In the story. Like, by far the most outmatched Luffy had ever been in the fight. It was a tense situation, because there wasn't really, like, a escape route, right? Like, Dragon's not going to come in and save him like Dragon did with Smoker. There wasn't really an escape route. The escape route was literally just Aokiji choosing not to kill Luffy. That was the escape route. B? I think that's fair. Yeah, that seems like a fair B. Yeah, it was like it was more like cool presence and tension, but it wasn't like... Yeah, the fight was bad. Rajesh Narayan says the list is missing Luffy versus Dacho Man. Am I a bad One Piece fan? I don't know who that is. Dacho Man. Who's Luffy versus what's Luffy versus Dacho Man? Yeah, I agree, Alexandre Casagrande. Aokiji versus Luffy served to show how much outmatched the Straw Hats are against the big guys. I agree. It was an encounter, not even a fight, says Dankoku. Yeah, I get you. Nightmare Luffy versus Oars. It's hard to rate these, because you guys are... I thought this would be really easy, because I'm thinking, like, in terms of, like, mainly... when I had this idea to do Luffy fight tier list, I was not including things like Luffy and the crew versus Kuma, Nightmare Luffy versus Oars. Like, these are not the type of fights I was thinking about. I was thinking more like, running down the arc lists, like Buggy, Kuro, Krieg, Arlong, Crocodile, like that type of trend. Like the part you're saying, where's Luffy versus Vivi lol? Once we're getting into those type of fights, it's just too... I don't know about that one. I don't know about those. B as well for Nightmare Luffy. Yeah, I'm down to just put in B. Luffy this just isn't a fight, though. I just don't count this as a fight. The Kuma moment. I like Nightmare Luffy, too. That picture represents Moria? No, come on. Where's Moria? Moria's got to be in here somewhere. There's no Moria. That's too bad. Wait. I've got a 2-in-1 solution. This will represent Moria. I'm not ranking the Kuma fight. It doesn't count as a fight. It's not the same. Alright? Yeah. Kuma fight. This is going to be the Moria fight. And I'm going to put Moria in... My personal bias, I actually really like the Moria fight, even though it was really short. I don't know why. I thought it was just cool to see Gear 2nd Luffy again. Because I won't say I was worried. I was like a weekly reader, right? And I was a kid. I don't think I was in high school when Thriller Bark was going on. No, I wasn't in high school when Thriller Bark was going on. I think Marineford was going on once I hit high school. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure Thriller Bark was when I was in middle school. Yeah, Thriller Bark was definitely when I was in middle school. So I'll say this. I was afraid that for this Moria fight, because this is Moria, all right? I was afraid that Gear 2nd was never coming back. So I thought it was cool that Gear 2nd came back. And besides that, yeah, I like that he combined the 2 gears. I thought that was cool, combining Gear 2nd and Gear 3rd. Not much more to say besides that. It was too short. I was shocked by how short it was. Again, I was young, so I couldn't really tell, Enies Lobby, really, really big arc. Therefore, you're going to have a shorter breather arc with less high, intensity and stuff in Thriller Bark. I was kind of more like, oh man, this wasn't as good as Luffy versus Lucci, but I liked it enough. I'm putting it in B. All right. No, wait. I was going to argue it for here because I actually liked it quite a bit. So that's me. Luffy versus Moria, I've got an A. I agree that makes no sense, but I don't care. Luffy versus these 2. I like that Luffy shut them up. I'm going to put them here. No, don't tell me Garp's a fight in here. That's just one punch. I'm putting Luffy versus Morgan A. Sorry about that. Shadow Asgard was disappointing. Yeah, maybe. Okay, so let's see. Luffy versus Magellan. Luffy versus Magellan. I thought Luffy versus Magellan was really cool. I love that fight. I thought it was really cool. Luffy did surprisingly well. Keenan says we need to differentiate conflicts and fights. Luffy versus Aokiji, for example, is an A-tier conflict and a D-tier fight. What Keenan just said makes so much sense. That's how we're going to do it from now on. All right? I agree. So in that case, I'm not going to put it in D tier, but I'm going to go ahead and bump it down to C tier. That makes things easier to think about. I think this is still an A tier fight, though. Luffy versus Arlong? I got Luffy versus Arlong in A, but we'll get to that shortly. I can put this in D, right? Luffy versus Morgan. This doesn't... I'm not counting this. I'm not counting Luffy versus Blackbeard. I'm not counting Luffy versus Blackbeard. This isn't a... This is ludicrous. This should not be here. I'm not counting Luffy versus the Celestial Dragon. I'm not counting Luffy versus the Admirals. Alright, Luffy versus Hordy. How about that? Let's pull that one. Juan Perez's Magellan kind of just beat Luffy's ass. He did, but what's cool is like Luffy did put up like a bit more of a fight than you would expect. You know what I mean? And that I think that was what was cool. Like it was another case where Luffy's like hopelessly outclassed. I'm not gonna give S as an option for that. I can only give 4 options, so I think it's more likely that people would want to have the D option than the S option. You know what I mean? How's Luffy versus Morgan in C? A got 11% for Hordy. That's interesting. 11% for A. C for Hordy. I think that's fair. I could put Hordy in C. Hordy in C. Luffy versus Caesar. I think that's another one I'll throw to you guys. More to make a conflict tier list rank. That I don't even know how we would go about defining that. Did I spell Caesar right? I think so. I thought Luffy versus Caesar, the tricky part is that it's 3 fights, right? I actually thought that the second round of it was kind of cool. Thought the second round of Luffy versus Caesar was kind of fun. Luffy versus Caesar, it's so tricky because it's like Virgo was around, right? And that was around the period of time when, so Virgo was around, you had Virgo, you had Law. And at that point in time, like, Law was just stealing the show. It was like, yeah, we got Caesar as the main enemy, but like, there was just nothing that intimidating about Caesar. It's kind of like, yeah, Luffy's going to take care of him, but really, like, Virgo's the cool bad guy here, right? Like, Virgo's the one that'll be a interesting opponent. But Law got Virgo, right? So we got to see Luffy versus Caesar, Law versus Virgo. I think it's partly just the fact that, like, Caesar had such a contrast to Virgo, who was clearly the more interesting opponent, that made maybe Caesar, you know. It was deliberate, too. Ah, I see. I see how it is. I think I have to do Luffy versus Caesar again because so many people voted negatively for him that it's only fair that I add D tier as an option. A, B. All right, let's try again. Emma Bond 1 says, why is Kuma so high, lol? Kuma represents Moria because we didn't have Moria. So we actually got, this is Moria. Moria might also be too high. I think that's fair to say. But I got him there. Wait, what? What the hell just happened? How is this possible? I gave you guys the poll once, Luffy versus Caesar one time, and everybody voted. Oh, okay, that makes more sense. It just took a moment to load. All right, so C, conclusively. Luffy versus Caesar, I think solid C. I would agree. All right, Luffy versus Doflamingo. This is a juicy one. See, the way I rate things, I'll ask you guys first. I don't want to influence your voting. I do that after the votes have come in. I'm just going to assume that no one's going to vote D on this one. What happened to the poll? Okay, there we go. Luffy versus Doflamingo. All right, I'll say this while you guys are voting. I think, yeah, so S, I could see that. This is one of those things where, like, if I had it my way and there's just like a few things making it to S, I'll tell you guys right now. If I had it my way, there's only 2 fights that would be an S. That's Luffy versus Lucci and Luffy versus Katakuri. I think those fights, like, stand out, like, well enough that they don't belong in a tier with anything else. You know what I mean? Like, I think that those would clearly, in my mind, those would be S. And then a lot of the other really good fights we have, like Doflamingo, Usopp, Crocodile, stuff like that, I'd put those in A. That's how I would do it. In my mind, S tier means like the top 1%. It's special. But okay, I'm gonna make this very, very fair. Okay, if it's not 50% S for Doflamingo, then I will put him in A. So let's see if you guys can get Doflamingo to 50% in S. If he's 50% in S, I'll put him in S. If he's less than 50%, I'm putting him in A. Again, reason being, you guys know how the voting works, right? This would mean that the majority do not want him in S. They want him in A or lower. I would average it out to A. So we go by majority rule. So I'll give you 10 seconds to get Doflamingo to S. 10 seconds to get Doflamingo to A. He's actually going down in the votes a little bit. Okay. Wait, no, but this is fucked up then. Doflamingo cannot be in the same tier as Moria, NL, and Magellan. Man, am I gonna have to move Moria down? No, this isn't right. This is not right. Something went wrong here. Despite everything that I said about my S tier argument, Doflamingo is closer to this fight, like to these fights, than he is to the Moria fight. Do I have to move the Moria one down? But Moria's better than the Boa fights and the Foxy fights. But these ones are better than the Horty fights and the season. No, you know what? You gotta draw a line somewhere. I'm about to go mass dictator. Some things are about to be shifted around pretty hard. Yeah, push everything down, says Hey Yano. You might be onto something right there. Create an SS tier. Okay, take inventory says, do you think Oda deliberately made Luffy not fight Vanderdecken? Will the will of D play a role in their duel in their eventual duel, a spectacle for the ages? I don't even understand what you mean right there. Is Vanderdecken a D? What are you talking about? What? Vanderdecken is a... I don't understand the question. Why is Luffy versus Vanderdecken important? I don't get it, take inventory's question. Can I not read? Do you think Oda will deliberately make Luffy not fight Vanderdecken? Or do you think Oda deliberately made Luffy not fight Vanderdecken? Will the will of D play a role in their eventual duel, a spectacle for their ages? I just don't think Vanderdecken's that important, bro. Maybe you're joking a bit there. Yes, move it down, put him in S, make SS. Okay, we're going to move some things. Wait, Yamil Diaz says Nakama candidates tier list. Carrot Yamato for Nakama. There's only so many candidates though. You know what I mean? Oh, it's a joke about Vanderdecken being the final villain, a popular joke theory. Okay, I see now. All right, Vanderdecken, I get you. I'm hip with the jokes. I understand them. All right, what do we do about this situation? I'm about to make a lot of changes, and people are going to get mad at me. All right, are you guys ready? Remember, this represents Moria, all right? This stays here. This goes down. Bad fight. Good conflict. C. 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 Stays in B. 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 You have 30 seconds. He's one handshake away from flinging the sun into Luffy. That doesn't... People like my changes. All right, excellent. Okay, the popularity is going down a little bit, but nothing to worry about. We just need 50% of the vote. 72%. All right. 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Kakaloon says, order them from left to right on their specific tier. Top of A means the best fight in A, while bottom of A means the worst fight in A. That's going to open up like a whole new bag of... Wait, I fucked up. Oh, wait, no. Luffy versus Blue Nose here, right? I have half a mind to put Luffy versus Usopp here as well. I got it down. All right. Move the Usopp fight. That's going to open up... That's too much... Because that's the point of the tier lists, you know what I mean? The point of the tier list is that, like, you generally don't want to order things too much. The way we've kind of done it in the past is, like, we'll do the tiers, and then the top 5 or whatever we'll order. We'll do a vote. I am interested in voting for Luffy versus Lucci and Luffy versus Katakuri. I think Luffy versus Kaido, when all is said and done, Luffy versus Kaido will easily join those ranks of those 3 fights. Pirate here says, no, Usopp S tier, bro. I'm sorry, the Pirate Hero. I'll move it to the top of A tier, even though I just said that it's not how we rank things. But for you, for the Pirate Hero. Put Usopp... Fine, Okay, we'll do a poll on Usopp, alright? We'll do a poll on Usopp. New poll. I have to end the previous poll. Let me respond to this real quick. Cavalry7198 says, hey Morge, do you think Jinbei will die in Wano? I was not a supporter till I saw the new intro in the anime. He has his back turned in one of the scenes. Usually that indicates an anime character dying. Man, Jinbei dying... No, come on. I just can't imagine Jinbei dying. I can't, because it's just like... Is Roger's base here? I mean, Roger's base is here. Where's Roger's base? I don't see Roger's base here. Oh, Roger's base is here. Dofi versus Luffy in A for sure feels right, though. I agree. I don't see Roger saying anything about Foxy, and I'm not going to scroll up any further to find out. Usopp S, easy, come on. Okay, I'll do a poll. Roger's base's vote counts for 5%. So if you can get it to 45%, then we'll see. All right. S tier, A. All right. So you guys got to get it to 45%. Roger's base gives you a 5% bump. Damn it, you guys didn't even need the bump. All right. Fair enough. All right. That's cool. All right, Luffy versus Fujitora. We're not ranking this because I can barely recognize it. The cutout of the image is too bad to even, warrant a vote. Adrian Hakeem, what's up? Do you think the Monster Trio will each fight the Admirals in a series fight? Would it seem plausible for Zoro and Sanji being as strong as Yonko? So you said 2 controversial things there. And let me address Jinbei's death as well, because I didn't talk enough about it. Because that is an interesting concept. So let me talk about Adrian Hakeem first. I'll get back to Jinbei after. So Adrian, basically what you suggested is that Admirals are equal to Yonko. Because you're like, well, the Monster Trio each fight an Admirals. Is it plausible that they're each equal to a Yonko? So you're basically saying Admirals equal to Yonko. So that's its own thing, right? I'm going to ignore that for the moment. It's just like, look, Oda can do a lot of things, Oda can do a lot of things because... what's Roger saying? Oda, a lot of people at the beginning of this, at the beginning of Wano, nobody was saying, or not nobody, 95% of people were saying that there's no way that Luffy gets to Kaido's level by the end of this arc, right? No way Luffy is Yonko level or whatever, right? Reason being, we're coming off of the Katakuri fight. We saw how much time and effort it took Luffy just to go from, I guess what you would call 3rd commander level to 1st commander level. So one small bump took Luffy, the fight of his life, the hardest effort he's ever put in, right? So, and then Kaido begins the arc by one-shotting Luffy. So nobody had Luffy at Yonko level. Zoro and Sanji, they got to the commander level pretty quick, right? Who were their hardest opponents before King and Queen? Pika? Brainwashed killer, I guess. Sanji had nobody. Sanji, you got to go back to like Wadatsumi for like a full-on fight. Page 1, right? Sure, page 1. So like they got like Oda can do the jumps pretty drastically. So it's not a big deal. Yeah, like like Luffy splitting the sky with Kaido and stuff like that. Like I'll just say this: I personally do think that Zoro and Sanji will get their Admiral fights. How strong you think Admirals are compared to Yonko, that's up to you. Jinbei's death. I just don't know if Jinbei is gonna die. I think that's kind of wild because like he just showed up. I get that Jinbei has a lot of death flags, but I get the sense that he's also just like treated as a very honorable character. It just feels very weird to me. Like I feel like there wasn't that much purpose to him in the story if he just showed up to die, right? Because he's like, I'm joining the crew. Then a few arcs pass. I'm joining the crew. Just wait up for me. It's like, okay, it's Whole Cake Island. Can you join the crew now? It's like, no, I'll join. Just wait up for me. Then he finally shows up to join, and then he dies. It would be interesting, but like I personally don't see the setup for it there necessarily. Maybe I'm just not getting it. Luffy versus Cracker. I think a lot of people didn't like this fight. I really like Luffy versus Cracker. I thought it was really cool. I thought, to me, Cracker revealing the real form, so inside the Biscuit Soldier, I thought that was one of the most surprising twists in a One Piece fight that I've seen. I thought that was like something you get in... You don't normally get that in One Piece fights, I think a lot of times the fights are a little more straightforward, where it's more like you just fight the opponent straight up, like physical to physical. That's kind of like a pretty cool... That's like a reveal that I'd expect in something like a Naruto or like... like a series that's a little different, where it's like, this was just my armor or something, or like my puppet that I was controlling. This is the real me. Take Inventory says, Raid will not fail. Nobody thought Luffy could beat a warlord when he first fought one, and Wano parallels the system with the Yonko. No, I mean, I agree that Luffy's going to beat Kaido eventually. 100% believe he's going to beat Kaido eventually. Everybody understands, I think Luffy's going to beat Kaido at some point. I just don't think right now where he's, having fun and stuff. Yeah, Luffy versus Cracker. What's the opinion on that? I don't think it's A. C? No, come on. People didn't like Luffy versus Cracker? Alright, I'll do a vote for it, but just keep in mind, this is just me being curious. I'm going to vote him wherever I think is right. But I do just want to know where people put Luffy versus Cracker. D will not be an option for this. An error occurred, try again. An error occurred, try again. Okay. An error occurred, try again. Is my screen lagging? Is my stream? Hello? Alright, let's try again. Otherwise, we're just going to have to vote him wherever I want. Alright, S. A. Don't tell me an error occurred. Okay, no error occurred. Let's see how you guys feel. That's weird then. No stream lag. Okay, B, solid B. I'm down to put him in B. That's where I would have put him. But just like at the tippy top of B. I don't know. I really like Luffy versus Cracker. I think a lot of people didn't like the Seducing Woods. How'd you guys feel about the Seducing Woods? I actually really, really like the Seducing Woods. I was not really like in tune with the One Piece community back then. Like I wasn't, maybe I was on Reddit and stuff at that point in time. I think I was on Reddit, but I wasn't like a content creator. I wasn't making videos. That wasn't until like towards the very end of Whole Cake Island, latter section. I think like the 860s or 870s is when I became a One Piece YouTuber. Maybe earlier, maybe like 850s or maybe I think like 860s or something. I don't know. But like, I remember Seducing Woods, like I found out kind of afterwards that people would reference the Seducing Woods as like a shitty section of the arc. Like I'd be talking to other One Piece YouTubers and be like, yeah, sometimes like Whole Cake Island, like, the Seducing Woods or some shit like that again. I think I could understand why from a content creator's perspective, that would be like a really bad section of the arc. It's, I guess, similar to like Luffy's arrival, like Act 1 before Kaido showed up. So Act 1 before they met up with Kinemon and then, right? So like just the Urashima shit and stuff like that, like the raid on the Hold'em stuff. But even then I enjoyed that. I think I really, really like sections of One Piece where the story can slow down, we get some fun stuff. because I know going back to reread, those will be the sections that I kind of go back and like reread just for like fun, just the characters having fun, really lighthearted adventure stuff, which is like low stakes and stuff like that. The Seducing Woods I kind of just enjoyed. It felt like some zany One Piece creativity, getting to see the Straw Hats like travel through a little Alice in Wonderland type setting, and then things just like randomly started spiraling into getting like a little spookier and spookier till eventually they got Brule kidnapping the Straw Hats, the whole forest coming to life, and then Cracker showing up and beating up Luffy, and then Cracker's revealed that he's like a soldier inside a soldier and stuff. I just thought, I don't know, it was like a fun situation that spiraled into like a fun battle. Besides that, and it also answered a question which a lot of us had at that point in time. So a lot of us really, because all we had was speculation, right? We really wanted to know how Luffy would do against a Yonko commander, because up to that point, Luffy had just fought Doflamingo. And it was hard to say how strong Luffy, like some people at that point in time, right? Some people had some people were saying Doflamingo is as strong as someone like Marco. Some people were saying like Doflamingo could beat Marco. Not a lot, but like you could see some of that, like, and then some people were saying like Doflamingo is nowhere near as strong as the commanders. So what we really wanted to see was like Luffy versus Cracker. It's hard to explain, but it answered kind of like a question of where Luffy kind of falls in the rungs of the world. And it kind of confirmed how a lot of people felt about the Yonko commanders, that these guys are like a really big deal. Because up to that point, we just had Whitebeard's commanders, Whitebeard's commanders from Marineford. We did not yet know or have proof that all of the Yonko had commanders like that. The part here says, my one hot take power scale opinion is that logically, but not narratively, of course, post Whole Cake Island, Luffy still couldn't beat Cracker solo. Snake Man / Future Sight doesn't change that matchup if Cracker camps. If Cracker camps, it's hard to say because like Snake Man in theory could get past camping. You know what I mean? Snake Man in theory could get past camping because he can like bend around and like he's really fast. Like the speed was such that even Katakuri was surprised. So I don't think like even if Cracker camps in my mind, and I know I'm getting too much into like, this hypothetical fight, but it's fun. Even if Cracker camps, right? Like we know Luffy can break one Biscuit Soldier. So even if Cracker surrounds himself with like a bunch of Biscuit Soldiers, Snake Man Luffy like should be fast enough. His attacks are too fast for even Katakuri to keep up at first. Fast enough to shoot an attack, have it weave through some Biscuit Soldiers and hit Cracker, in my opinion. I might be wrong. Take Inventory says, I think you would like Cobra Kai. Oh, that Netflix show? Yeah, I might give that a shot. There's so many shows right now, man. So many shows to try. Luffy versus Katakuri, easy yes, don't even have to rank it. Wherever I put it right now is going to make people mad at me, right? So we'll rank it later. I personally got it here. I have zero problem with people putting it here. I personally have it here, but it's really tight. It's tight as... My personal take on Luffy versus Katakuri, and we can vote on the best fight later, is I think the fight, pure fight, I like Luffy versus Katakuri the best, like if you're looking at the fight in isolation, but the additional drama surrounding Luffy versus Lucci and like the emotion, etc., the power of the way it ended with the Usopp moment, funnily enough, spawned from over here. The Usopp moment that spawned from over here, that led its way over to me being a big deal over here. It's kind of the payoff to this fight also happened in this fight. So a funny way to think about it. But you get what I'm saying? Like, the way Luffy versus Lucci ended, the emotion, the drama of it. I think I said this before, like, Luffy, Usopp, I think I said this last stream, like, it's not like it's hell here. That chapter, that scene, especially in the anime, I don't know, it just hits too hard for me to put Luffy versus Katakuri above it personally, but if you guys have it above, like, it makes total sense. Keenan says, off topic, but I don't think I've ever heard your thoughts on it. Maybe I did and I forgot. Any real thoughts on what was in the egg on Roger's ship? Guys, I have tried, let me tell you this, I have tried multiple times to think of a good theory for the egg on Roger's ship. I try not to force it generally. You know what I mean? Like, I try not to force, like, okay, I gotta think of a theory of this thing. Let me try and piece some stuff together. It's more like, okay, some stuff makes sense to me. I could see it happening. Okay, a certain number of things have to sort of seem like they click and feel right to me for me to be like, oh, wait, this could be it, right? And then I put out a theory or whatever, right? Then you guys, take it or leave it, basically, right? Theories are just me sharing interesting ideas, basically, of things that I think see fit. The egg thing, like, I would be forcing it if I pretended I had a good theory on that. I've tried. I've like sat down and been like, let me try and figure out something for the egg theory. I don't do that sort of thing anymore. Where I guess for me, if I make a theory video, usually it's because like it organically some ideas started to seem to fit together in a sudden way that is like, wait, this seems like to me it could possibly make sense, or I actually personally strongly believe it makes sense. Let me put it out there, right? I don't try and take something that I don't have a good idea for and then try and piece things together to try and solve it. I'm not that type of a theory person. The Pirateer says, if Cracker hides in a biscuit, I'm not sure Snake Man can break it. True. Might need Bound Man for that, and I don't think Luffy can switch between fast enough. True. I think Snake Man could if he got enough attacks in. Like we know Gear 4, we know Bound Man can break a biscuit in one punch. Snake Man, it's harder to say, right? Snake Man, we don't know how many hits it takes to pull that off. Brand Cape, so I agree that your take might be correct. I personally disagree, but I think it could be right. It's like one of those things where like, could Luffy have beaten Mr. 1 in Alabasta? Because like in theory, like we know Luffy is stronger than that character overall, right? Like he overall ranks higher than that character, but it might just be a bad matchup at that moment in time based on Luffy's skill set. But at the same time, I just put my money on Luffy like figuring it out or finding a way, you know? Brand K featuring Quincy says, if Wano ending is supposed to be surprising, then Jinbei will betray Luffy for Big Mom at some point. The Whole Cake Island ending with the fisherman is being lost. Man, that's just another thing of like, Morge has been seduced by the power scaling woods. I just thought I liked the seducing woods from the moment they arrived. I liked the chapter where they're just wandering the seducing woods. I liked the chapter where the alligator is eating the donut bridge and then just getting out and like walking around in his suit and stuff. I thought that the comedy for the Seducing Woods was funny. I thought like the little twists we got in Seducing Woods were funny. I like the little exposition that we got in the Seducing Woods about how other supernovas have come and gone in the Seducing Woods, and each one of them have fallen short there. I liked it. I like the Seducing Woods. I think we're caught up here. Yeah, the Fishman Island, the Whole Cake Island ending with Fishman, there's so many things that like, I don't think it's like theories or headcanon to say that, oh, certain things feel like they should get a payoff or be addressed. Whole Cake Island's cliffhanger was to date the biggest cliffhanger in any One Piece arc history. By far. I don't think I'm crazy in saying that like Jinbei just showing up afterwards and then being like, yeah, it was okay. And Germa also just being okay. It's like, what the hell happened there? What's going on? And like, what the hell happened at the end of Whole Cake Island? Morge is easily seduced by the woods in seconds, no doubt about that. I would get so tricked by the seducing woods. You guys don't know I have a terrible sense of direction. I remember people were making jokes that if you dropped Zoro in the seducing woods, he would just find his way out when they were struggling to decipher it. Zoro would just find his way out because he's inherently so bad at direction that he would just walk out. Yeah, Juan Perez says the talking alligator joke from Nami was hilarious. I thought that was so funny. The like Luffy pointing at Carrot and Chopper. Alright. On to the next fights. Luffy versus Buggy. I got that in. I don't think Luffy versus Buggy was good. I think that these other fights, like Horty, Caesar, Foxy, Boa, and Sandersonia were better. I think Luffy versus Buggy in particular in the anime was like the way it was animated felt so slow, and like the characters were underwater. I was definitely. It's hard to like. It's just because I was like, what is this vote even for? What were we voting for? Why do I still have this up? Yeah, Luffy versus Buggy Luffy versus Cracker. Yeah, I got him there. Oh, some people had him in A. I didn't even realize. That's good to see. All right. Yeah, Luffy versus Buggy just felt slow. I like Luffy versus Kuro. I'm gonna put Luffy versus Kuro here. I got it in D, guys. I got it in D. I got Luffy versus Kuro here. When I was a kid watching Luffy versus Kuro, it was like an intimidating fight. I was a kid, granted, but like Kuro's ability set, like it just seemed pretty terrifying, and it seemed like it was out of Luffy's. I don't know. I just like couldn't tell how Luffy was gonna beat him. But again, I was a kid. But like Kuro was like walking on his arm, he was like so fast and stuff. It like for me as a kid, it genuinely felt like this was like a high diff fight for Luffy. I was like, Luffy seems like the underdog. This guy seems like really, 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 really tough to beat here. Brave Dallas says, I don't know if you're the best One Piece YouTuber, but you're the funniest. Thanks for the content. I appreciate that. Thanks. Martin Castro says the One Piece was revealed in Chapter 1. Maybe. What would that be then? Keenan says, I was really upset that Pound didn't stay dead, but I can't lie. It was really heartwarming to get to see him meet his daughters. I couldn't even stay mad at Pound. Pell should be dead as fuck, though. I agree on Pell. Chino Wong says, Morge loves cats, confirmed. I'm actually a dog person more than a cat person. I'm really not a cat person. Like, I don't mind cats, but I'm not a cat person. What do you mean the One Piece was found in the first chapter? Luffy versus Don Krieg, I'm also actually going to put here. I like Luffy versus... Again, this is like me as a kid. Me as a kid, I got my nostalgia on. I know those fights are better than Luffy versus Alvida, Luffy versus Morgan. Can I put this back? Can we just not count it as a fight? Cool. Alright, we're not counting Luffy versus Aokiji. We're counting it as a conflict, right? As Keenan said. So, Luffy versus Don Krieg, Luffy versus Kuro. Look, I think that, like, these... I think they belong here. For me, personally. Alright, we're going to put it there. Luffy versus... Actually, could they even be higher? I think they could be higher. Nah, they're not higher, right? Adrian Hakeem says, who is the guy that visited Crocus after the time skip? You know what? Let's do something fun. Everyone, great point, Adrian. I don't have a good answer for that. So similar to what happened with Jinbei's crew, similar to what happened with, what do you call? The guy that Crocus visited in the time skip. Can you guys go ahead and like, this is sparking a question for me. Can you comment any lingering questions that you think that you have in the Wano arc or from Whole Cake Island right now? I kind of just want to see what we come up with. Apparently the One Piece is sake according to Ohara. Alright. Don't know if we're coming up with any great points. I don't know if One Piece is sake. It just doesn't feel strong to me. I get like we're going to collect Bink's sake. Sake. Super chat from Newt. Number 1 conflict, Lucci. Number 1 fight, Katakuri. I get what you're saying, but this is a case where I think that, like, in my mind, the story of the fight is too it's too intrinsically tied with the fight itself. Like, I wouldn't separate it into, like, the conflict versus the fight. Like, you know what I mean? Because they're close enough as fights, in my opinion. I think they're close enough as fights. What happened to Smoothie? That's not a question. That's just like, we know technically Smoothie's on the waterfall. Martin Castro says, when the One Piece was revealed, it'll probably be something that was hinted at in the first chapter. I think Oda is that type of writer. Yeah, I agree. Oda is that type of writer where, like, he really, like, some things that are revealed today, some small, or big things, like, you can trace them back to much earlier and be like, holy shit, holy shit, holy shit. But the first chapter, there's not a lot we got going in the first chapter. Really, it's just Gold Roger's chapter, you know? Gold Roger's page. Weevil's great. It's putting the ultimate waifu. Yamato's knowledge about the red poneglyph. I don't understand how we're going to have Yamato on the crew and not spoil the rest of the story. I personally don't think Yamato joins. What if Zunisha is the main villain of the arc and Imu sent it to Wano? I don't think that. Shimaru, Weevil. Who the heck is Weevil? Who saved the Scabbards? Who saved the Scabbards I think will get answered soon. It seems like it was Hiyori off the top. Chinho Wong says, why is Wano Report abandoned? It's just time-wise, and like me and O'Hara just don't have like a lot of, what do you call? Like the overlap time that we have to find, it's just tight, you know, to do that every week. And also, it's kind of like I think as soon as we moved it to a third channel, right? You want to do it to make it not just for fun, because we did have a lot of fun doing it. You want to make the channel grow though, right? So we basically were too invested in our own channels to put in the time to make that channel grow. And I'll acknowledge that it was more so my fault than his. But he's also YouTube full-time, whereas I'm not. So he does have more time basically to focus on Like, I can do this channel, and I can do the Wano Report channel, and I know he wants to start, what do you call it? This, he's doing this fan theories channel, basically, right? Oh, I feel so bad. Ohara asked me, like, hey, you want to, I'm doing this new channel, can you shout it out? I was like, yeah, sure. So I just shouted out what he asked me to shout out. I was having, my PR was so bad at that moment, right? That all of the, like, not all of the, but like a lot of the comments under it, I guess, were very negative about it because people were also angry at me at that moment in time for like the stuff I was saying on Twitter, right? So a lot of people were angry at me, so it spilled over to Ohara's announcement. People were like, not fuck Ohara, but like people were like, Ohara's doing this for blah 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 blah. And I was just like, oh fuck, like I think I ruined Ohara's promotion of the event because it would have been better if I didn't promote this at all. But yeah. Chino Wong says Wano Report can't collab with anyone besides Ohara. No, I mean like it's kind of like the investment. You know, like it's like how much do I want to? Like I enjoyed talking to Ohara because I enjoyed talking to Ohara. Like Ohara is probably one of the people that like I would be happy talking One Piece with like every week, right? That was something that we built up over a long period of time. So I think that Wano Report, maybe we bring it back at some point, maybe, but like at this moment in time, it's like it's not quite as convenient for either of us to do, and especially more so for me, and especially we have it on a third channel, so like the like kind of the work you have to put in to make a third channel grow or like a separate channel grow rather than your main channel, it's higher. So you need to we would need to be on top of it. We would need to be like very topical, very systemized, like in how we source, what times we source questions and stuff like that, how soon after the chapter we get it out, things like that. Just things that generally, it's tricky because it eats into the weekend for both of us, and like both of us, we have so much work to do during the week that it's just like, you know, who's kind of making the sacrifice regularly to do it in the morning versus in the night, things like that. Amber C says, I really want to know where the old hag came from. I personally believe the old hag came from the old guy. Sorry, I forgot the names. Came from outside of Wano. I don't know. I got the sense that they were Kurozumis. Junaid Kahili says, is there going to be a Morgan Randy Troy stream anytime soon? Randy and I we're going to do a stream, I think, on his channel next break. So whenever the next break is. Mr. Crescent, what's up? Not sure if you've seen Hunter x Hunter. I've read it all and seen parts of it. But do you think Oda could create a similar situation with Luffy and Shanks, like with Kite and Gon, and have Shanks die after a short reunion, causing Luffy to go into a rage? I wonder if Oda would do it like Shanks dies and Luffy goes into a rage, versus, I do personally think Shanks dies and that gives Luffy added motivation, but it's like how close are the two events tied together, you know what I mean? Like, is it like that Gon Kite situation, similar to the, Goku Krillin situation, or is it like Shanks dies, then Luffy later on has that as motivation to get revenge, closer to like an Ace type thing. I don't know. I assume to be more like that, but it'd be interesting if it was like Gon and Kite. All right, back to this, because we slowed down on this a bit. Luffy versus Arlong. This is a tricky one. Luffy versus Arlong. Yeah, like the stream. Like the stream. Adrian Hakeem, sorry. So do you have a theory for my question? I definitely didn't forget your question. Hold on. Sorry. Adrian, where's your question? No, that's Martin. Adrian, could you repeat that? And then I'll just watch out for your chat. Sorry about that, man. Oh, for the Film Z stream. The Film's I'm doing a Film Z stream. Don't worry about that. At some point. Justin Holland says Morgans has an inside cameraman in Wano to document the Straw Hat's victory over Kaido to the world? Possible. Morgans has an inside cameraman and Wano to document the Straw Hat's victory over Kaido to the world. Possible. Yeah, I mean, like, it makes sense. Like, Morgan's clearly, he's got influence everywhere with, like, CP0 for a little bit. Like, I could see a lot. I could see Morgan's having inside man stuff. Who was that guy that visited Crocus after the time skip? Okay, I don't have a good theory for that. Maybe that's why I brushed over it so quickly. The guy that visited Crocus over the time skip is, I mean, look, it's someone from Wano, right? It's got to be someone from Wano. He had a yellow hat, former daimyo? I don't know. It's hard to say, right? Like, do we have any good ideas for that? What ideas we have? Kind of want to, like, this is one of those things where it's like, it's similar to the Roger's Egg thing. I don't have a good idea for it, but I'm interested to see. You guys have any idea for, like, who was the guy that is, because it doesn't fit with the people we know, right? It's not Shimotsuki Ushimaru. It's not Odin. That was a popular theory for a long time, that the guy that met him was Odin. It's just, I don't know who makes sense. A for Arlong? I agree. I got Arlong in A. Skopper Gaban? But why does he look like that? Like, it just doesn't seem like it fits. Shiki? No, come on, it's not Shiki. Why is Shiki having... It's not Shiki. No, I wanted some good theories. This is just like throwing out popular characters. I was looking for something like, well, if you look at Wano's lineage tree, there's a missing piece right here, and then this character makes perfect sense to be the final figure in the Wano conflict, watching from afar. Not like Shiki, not like a movie character. I know Shiki's not a movie character. He was obviously mentioned in chapter 957, and like he's canon in the story, but like, I just don't think it's Shiki. Like, it's so weird. Like a guy that Luffy beat in a movie. Obviously, movie's not canon. Just like showing up. It's like the same way I don't expect like Zephyr to show up in one of the movies, right? Or Gil Tesoro, right? Or like to show up in the manga, you know? Remix King says, thoughts on the current storylines in the NBA. Who do you have as front runner for MVP, and which team will win the championship? I have the Heat. So NBA has not been that interesting to me this season. Not been that interesting to me personally this season. Just largely because of the injuries, players being out. I was interested earlier, like, the Lakers not being, like, well, LeBron's playing really well, so that's cool, but then Curry stopped playing well. Like, those are players that I like watching a lot. I know I'm really generic. Yeah. Jokic, Embiid playing really well. I literally can't give, like, a fair take for who should be MVP right now, because I'm watching somewhat casually, basically. Or barely at all. At this point in time, like, for this season, I'm more of a, like, I check up on what happened in the games later on. I read the stats, check out some discussion, basically. I'm not qualified to give an opinion at all. I think personally, I think that if MVP goes to, I don't know, I think I'm not qualified to give an argument at all. I'm literally not. It could be, like, I know Giannis is the popular pick at this point. I don't like the idea of Giannis winning, like, for the third time in a row, but, like, I get that it might be correct. Curry's been playing too bad to warrant it at this point. He was playing hot at the start of the season. Kevin Durant's been injured, right? So I don't know. KD, like, in my mind, KD or LeBron are probably the best players in the NBA. Normally I would just say LeBron, but, like, LeBron's not, got to see him pull a rabbit out of the hat one more time for me to be like, yeah, he's still the best player. Obviously, he's been playing at a level where he has the argument. There's so many players that are playing at a level where they have the argument, so it just kind of comes down to team performance, and, like, the seeding and stuff will shift all the time, and, like, some players will get injured, so I don't have a strong opinion. The Hidden Island says, as a Knicks fan, I'm not enjoying the season. Randall isn't doing it for me so far. See, I'm not... I'm sorry, man, but I'm just not watching enough to basically even be, like, talking that level of nuance. Julius Randle, I mean, like, last year, how well he was doing compared to this year, I have no idea. I know last year he kind of took off, but this year might have just proved it. Maybe he's a fluke or something. Jokic or Giannis? Jokic, fun fact, last year, start of the year, me and my roommate were arguing Jokic versus Luka Doncic, right? And I was saying at the start of last year that Jokic had more of a chance of winning MVP than Luka Doncic. Now, anybody who knows anything about the NBA last year, right, at the start of last year, knows that Luka Doncic would have been a much better pick. But I saw greater potential in Jokic, and I thought that the Nuggets were going to be a higher seed, and I thought that Jokic was going to play really well last year. Nobody else had. Go check the Jokic odds for MVP at the start of last year. Absolute ass, okay? And I wasn't even arguing that Jokic is going to win MVP last year, all right? I wasn't even arguing that he was going to win MVP. I said that he's going to get more votes for MVP than Luka Doncic, right? And what we bet was that the loser would have to buy a jersey of the other, right? So I would have had to buy a Luka jersey and wear that for the entire playoffs. He had to buy a Jokic jersey because he lost, and he did not wear that for the playoffs because he just conveniently kept forgetting. But, yeah, fun story. I was a Jokic supporter. I saw this Jokic rise well before everybody else. Granted, Jokic had just come off of a, exceptional playoffs, like, beating the Clippers and everything like that. But, like, at the same time, nobody had Jokic for, like, MVP. Like, the odds for him winning MVP the next season were extremely low. Ben says, would you ever do a first-time read-through type videos on manga you haven't read? Kind of like Totally Not Mark or Murphy. No, that's just not me. That's just not me, because, like, my concern is always like, okay, what if I'm reading this and I just don't enjoy it that much? Then I want to have the freedom to, like, just drop it. You know what I mean? And I don't want to have to, like, talk about something that I'm not enjoying that much. I could pick series that I'm, like, guaranteed to enjoy or something like that, but there's no series you're, like, guaranteed to enjoy. Even if I picked up, like, Vagabond or something. What if I don't like Vagabond? And everybody says Vagabond's, like, amazing, like, the best shit you can find out there and stuff like that, But what if I don't like it? What if I'm just pushing myself to read it? Goomba Boomba says, lingering plot thread, Okobore Town being attacked. Tama mentioned in chapter 1011. Why would Oda do this conflict? Why would Oda add this conflict near the end? For what purpose? What? Okobore Town's being attacked? I don't remember this at all. What? Really? I have to check that out. I don't even know what that means, but I gotta take a look. Alright. Let's wrap this up. Luffy versus Mr. 3, I got it here. Luffy versus Crocodile, I got it here. I'm not going to put it here. I got it here. I think Luffy versus Crocodile is really good. I actually... I got it tied with Doflamingo. I got it above Arlong. I think Luffy versus Crocodile was like... It felt like a more dramatic fight to me just because of the 3 losses. It was so personal between the two. But the fight itself, I thought, wasn't that good because, like, Crocodile didn't use the full extent of his abilities in the 3rd round. Like, he really just fought Luffy, like, hand-to-hand and then used a couple sand attacks at the end, which I didn't particularly like. But I still liked the fight a lot overall. I was just like, man, Crocodile, like, do some cool stuff so that, like, then Luffy gets some, gets to counter it in some way. Doflamingo used the full extent of his abilities. It was like a cooler fight in terms of like the display of abilities plus gear 4th and everything like that, and was pretty dramatic in its own right. Justin Holland says Luffy's final winning card against Kaido will come after his crew with Carrot and Yamato and the allies Zoro called to his side, hold Kaido off while Luffy recovers for his next gear 4th usage. I would love to see that. I just want to see Luffy struggle some at all. I would love to see that though. I want that hat. Says, have you read Ayashimon? I recommend Mr. Morgeman. I'll check that out. I have not read that. I assume that's a manga. The Pirate Who says, Morge last year says the Joker will end in MVP. No, I did not think that Jokic was going to win MVP. I did not think that. I was just like, my argument was entirely based around that, like, look, MVP voting is usually done by, like, high performance on a high-performing seed. Nuggets are probably going to get a high-performing seed, and Jokic is probably going to do well. Whereas Luka, the Mavs usually don't do well seed-wise, therefore I have higher doubts. I saw someone, I think, say Jokic won't get credit from the casual audience. I think that's just because he plays on the Nuggets, not anything about Jokic himself. You know what I mean? Like, I think if Jokic played on the Lakers randomly, then Jokic would get loved by the casual audience. His style of play is so cool. Adrian Hakeem says, where's our long land arc analysis? I don't know if that one's coming. I don't know if I'm doing that one. All I can say is it sets up for Water 7, well. That's pretty much it. Alright, Luffy versus Bellamy. This is a funny one. Alright, let's vote on this one. Hello? Oh, I gotta end this. Sorry, the tier list was small for so long. I accidentally zoomed out again. Justin Holland says, plus Luffy uses voices of all things to call them. I don't know. I think that there's cool ways that you could do that. Yeah, for sure. I'm interested in, I would love to see everybody, like a Straw Hats versus Kaido scenario. So I'm all on board with anything that makes that happen. I think it would be great to see a Straw Hats versus Kaido scenario similar to Scabbards versus Kaido. You know, Scabbards, Straw Hats parallels, like extremely, extremely important in the story. Being able to be there for your leader, while the Scabbards were not able to support out in that way. Throwbacks to Thriller Bark. Just, I think it makes a lot of sense to me. Chino Wong says, Morge, where's my game on arc analysis? That one's around the corner, man. B. Yeah. Yeah. In the same tier as Cracker. You guys know I like the Cracker fight. You guys like Luffy versus Bellamy that much? B? Come on. No. Come on. I get it. It's very satisfying. Alright, fine. Wait, that was the last one. These are all fit. Okay, so now we can vote on Luffy versus Lucci versus Luffy versus Katakuri. I'm gonna go ahead and not put Luffy versus Usopp in there. Alright, we can acknowledge it as S tier, but I'm really interested to see what people think between this fight and this fight. Alright? That's actually something I've wanted to know for a while, what most people consider better between those two. I'll give you guys that one. No, it's a repeat that says it's more of a conflict though. Yeah, we should have never introduced the terminology of conflicts versus fights. It's complicated things for sure. Alright, yeah, I got it. It's in B. The very bottom of B in my heart, but for you guys, it's unordered. Bellamy wasn't a fight. Yeah, same. My opinion as well. Okay, wait. Alright, moment of truth. And whichever one's the winner will get moved forward in the ranking. Alright, ready? Kaido's followers burned down Okobore because they lied and said they ate all the food they had when they actually gave it to the samurai for the fight. In Tama's words, Okobore town isn't there anymore. Okay, so that's not a hanging thread then, really. Thanks for the filling me in. Thanks for the fill-in. Filling me in? The filling in? The information. Alright. Thanks for the heads up. No, it's not even a heads up. Heads up is something coming. Thanks for the info. I forgot Luffy versus Chinja. That should have been in there. Luffy versus Katakuri winning. I can see that. Yeah, I don't think that there's a wrong answer to. I mean, obviously it's all subjective. There's no wrong answers. Blah blah blah. Don't attack people for their opinions, Morge. Just let people enjoy what they enjoy. Unless, of course, we're talking about My Hero or Naruto or Boruto, in which case it's totally okay for One Piece fans to call them mid. But yeah, just let people enjoy what they want to enjoy, right? So between this, though, honestly, I do feel like yeah, it's just whichever makes sense. I think whatever's good. Either option's perfectly good. I will give it to Luffy versus Katakuri because we got it pretty, not super decisively, but it's close to 60-40 split. All right. Luffy versus Katakuri wins. No way more than Katakuri wins this Scholar H. No, I'm pretty democratic. I like Luffy versus Katakuri a lot. I like that fight a lot. I personally think that Luffy versus Lucci had close to as much going for it as Luffy versus Katakuri in terms of just straight action. And then in terms of story and drama, I think it was significantly better. But, it's Luffy versus Katakuri. I get voting that as number one. That's pretty much it. All right. That was a pretty good stream. We ended only 10 minutes after I was hoping we would end. Normally these things go a lot later. How about don't call people anything, says Kaizoku or Luffy. Sure. Fair. Esther Sparks responds with MHA is trash. Also fair. All right, guys. I am going to. The Pirate says, Morge, please get into weekly Twitter drama so we can start each stream with explanations. No, I'm done with that. At least until this raid is over or heading towards the end or whatever. Like, I've learned a valuable lesson. Not starting shit on Twitter. Next time will be a boring old chapter discussion. Tune in. It'll be fun, as usual, very timely. It'll be good. All right. Besides that, yeah, I guess we got nothing else to say. I will talk to you all later. Thanks for tuning in. Can I end the stream from here? All right, end stream. Hello? End?